if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own now.
Nope, end it there. You agree 100%. I'm right.
Welcome back, fellas.
Hello.
Hello. This is well into the second season now. How's everybody feeling tonight?
So good. I'm so glad to be back.
I'm sad. I gave
Why are you
up.
sad?
I'm doing a detox this week from alcohol, and after watching this movie, I was like, this is a great movie to have a drink afterwards. And
Or during.
Or during, or both.
Or before.
But
Enjoy responsibly.
yes. But I'm detoxing, so no drink for me.
Nice. No drinking for Joey, just water.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, Flix fellas. This week, we're taking a look at the Netflix original Sweet Girl. I said that very weird. Sweet Girl, starring Jason Momoa, Isabela Merced, and Manuel Garcia Rolfo. It's directed by Brian Mendoza, and writers were Greg Hurwitz and Philip Eisner. This is an action movie about the evils of Big Pharma, a very common topic in movies thus far, at least that I know that we've looked at for the podcast.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a story of trials and tribulations of a father-daughter pair as they go through and try to get justice for an injustice that is very close to home for them. So we'll roll right into first reactions for this one. Kevin, you look quizzical. How about you start?
I didn't know how I felt about it. Like, I don't think it was that great. It wasn't bad. I guess it was just like okay. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's one of those where it's like I would have been fine not seeing it, but like I'm not disappointed I saw it, I guess, if that makes sense.
This sounds like a classic Kevin Feige whelmed moment.
Dude, very whelmed. This movie was very whelming, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a basic conspiracy action flick with like little twists. Like, it's nothing special, but it wasn't like that. Like, I don't think I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is terrible. Or like, I just need to stop watching it. Maybe because it was only an hour and 50 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I wasn't like angry by it. Like, I get angry when movies are really bad. I wasn't angry watching this. Maybe
you're
it's
not
because I
spitting
was
vinegar.
drinking. So maybe Joe will think differently because he wasn't drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm actually shocked that, Kev, you even remotely enjoyed this movie because it was just the most basic, cliche-filled movie of all time with one shocking plot twist that kind of got me excited for a minute, and I was like, it doesn't really make sense. And the movie kept going beyond that, and I just was so bored and so angry with this movie because there was nothing entertaining to me about it whatsoever. James?
That's pretty strong, Joe. You were like,
Joe sounds like me.
He does.
Yeah.
Kevin, you
That's why I'm
rip movies
surprised
apart.
you, somewhat like this.
Yeah. So yeah, for this one, my first reactions, I honestly thought this one was, I kind of feel you. I'm like Joey. I'm more on your page. The beginning to like the middle, like the beginning of this movie was very sad. Then it was like kind of all over the place and somewhat boring. Like I want to say in like the middle 50 minutes, and then there is the hook of the movie, or there's this big plot, twist, which we'll get into in the spoiler section, that gave me a second wind and a very similar, into what you're describing, Joe. But I actually did enjoy it throughout afterwards. Like throughout the end of the movie, I was more interested now that the plot just wasn't this like copy paste action film, But overall, I'm going to go like, I'm kind of like meh plus on this one. Like this is a rainy day movie for me. This
Meh
isn't
plus,
like
it's like a subscription model for meh.
Yeah. It's the $12 a month, not the $10 a month version of the meh.
Right.
We're not going to talk spoilers yet, but there were just so many times in this movie that I was just so bored, I paused it so I could scroll through Instagram or something. And maybe that's my problem as a millennial who has short-term attention deficit, but I don't do that with every movie. I did it with this one a lot because I just couldn't stop.
It was like a generic conspiracy film, like
Yeah.
of them trying to like they think
With
they know
nothing
what's going on, but,
original.
like, I guess
Except for
I
the
suppose
hook.
you're
Other
right,
than-
except for the twist,
The most-
twist, which even when the twist was happening, I guessed it wrong. So, well, and we'll talk about it, but like, yeah, I think the twist was the only good thing, but like, even that twist like wasn't, like you said, Joe, wasn't anything special, but it's a generic like action film. Like they didn't do it in a way where it was like ham-fisted. Like I think they actually gave a good shot at like a conspiracy action flick, because you can do them and they can be good, even though like the tropes have become like there's those tropes that you see in all of them.
Yeah.
You can still make it good. They didn't make it outstanding, but they didn't do anything where I was like, oh brother. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
they didn't
saying?
like take it. Yeah, they kind of stuck to their guns and like they didn't try to make it something it wasn't. Like they were very like kind of in they were in their lane and they stayed in their lane when it comes to action movie tropes, you know? Because I feel like there's some action movies that are just like cringy bad that like are like we need to take it to like the next degree and it just doesn't make any sense. Like OBX season 2, but but
Shots
you know
I
fired.
didn't watch any of
I
that.
didn't
Shots
watch it
fired.
either. Yeah.
what?
I didn't
Yeah,
watch
I gotta
either
watch.
season. I watched like the first episode.
Wow.
I heard season 2 sucks, so I didn't watch.
Yeah, season 2 is wild. There's a lot that goes on.
I have a lot that I want to
Anyway.
rip into this movie about, but it's all kind of spoilers, so I'll just
Yeah.
bite my tongue. I'll say that I'm going to say keep scrolling on this one, and
Joey's
I'll
keep
let you
scrolling.
guys make any final comments.
Sounds good, Kevin. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm in like that middle area where like I think I'm with Joe. I think I am keep scrolling, but
Mhm.
I won't think any differently of you if you decide to watch it. Like
So,
like
Joey's
it's
like-
not, I'm not like don't fucking watch this movie, but I'm like, you could probably do without it. So
Yeah,
soft
don't watch this-
scroll as you
yeah.
I hate saying that because I'm avidly against saying soft scroll or like soft
Mhm.
soft play. I think that's stupid, but this is a soft scroll.
Kevin only lives his life. He only lives his life with conviction. He's like, it's an on-or-off switch. There's no dimmer, but also dimmer.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? 'Cause that's how it works, right?
It's true. Yes. So I am gonna go with a soft click play because I do think that they bring it back a little bit, and I did enjoy it by the end of the movie. There was like a little bit like I found myself in the lull, but it brought me back in. So I think that there are some redeemable qualities in here, and I think that it's worth, especially it's an hour and 50 minutes. But let's talk about it because it seems like Joey's got a lot of ammunition that he's holding on to. So, do you guys have anything else for before we get into spoilers?
I think we should eradicate soft play and soft scrolls.
Yeah, give our listeners some decisiveness, boys.
All right,
Yeah.
hard click play. It's the best
Whoa.
movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right, I'm scrolling.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll send it. Thank you all. Next section is going to be spoiler heavy, so stick around if you want to hear it, or just stick around anyway because we want to see you. All right. Thank you, sponsor, and welcome back. All right, boys. Since Joey, you're so gung ho, locked and loaded, ready to go, you start us off, and then we'll kind of roll from there.
Okay. One thing you said in the beginning that upset me was that you said it was kind of a sad start to the movie. It wasn't, though. They
You don't
Give
think
you-
cancer's sad, Joey?
Cancer is
Yeah.
sad. Cancer is
Yeah,
very sad,
yeah.
and that is the easiest way as a screenwriter to just be like, oh, how do we make this sad? Boom, cancer. Like, it's cheap almost as a storyteller. And two, they don't really make you feel invested in the mom. They start you out. First scene is with this like action shot where you know something's gone awry. They just throw you right in the middle of it. They give you this cheesy line of Jason Momoa turning around and saying, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Okay, boom.
That's a classic like conspiracy movie trope, starting the movie with the end of the movie, or what you
Yes.
think is the end of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so
Stupid.
classic.
Hated it. And at first I thought I was like, I don't know if I like this or not. And then I was like, it's okay. And then I hated it. And then they throw you into this like years later montage of them as a family just hiking and doing their stupid shit all together when nothing really of substance.
Man,
There's no
you hate this fucking family,
There's
dude.
no real connection to like any of them. Like I didn't feel like they were a family ever. And then they're just like, oh, boom, like mom's got cancer, mom's gonna die. Blame Big Pharma on it. Of course, the Big Pharma did shady shit, but then they like
and fuck them over.
Yeah, 100% shady. But that's
Classic
also
Big Pharma.
classic Big Pharma in movies of just like, who do we make a bad guy in a cancer movie? Boom, Big Pharma. Who do we have as the expected hero to this movie who turns out to be a bad guy? Boom, politician. Like, it's just so predictable and cliche, and I just was very upset with the predictability and lackluster of imagination.
Joe, I agree. I don't think they did a good job getting me emotionally invested into the mom before she died. I was just like, oh, that sucks.
I was a little invested afterwards with the father-daughter relationship, but even that, they didn't really do a great job of, like, making me feel like he was a fatherly figure or that, like, they were going to struggle but get through it type of thing. It was just kind of like, meh, here they are.
So
Matt
Joey,
Plus.
Matt Plus. So Joey, I'm actually gonna. I don't necessarily. I think I kind of disagree. There were definitely a few points in the beginning that I felt more emotionally connected to their situation because they decided to spend like 15, 20 minutes on the actual progression of the cancer. It's not just like, oh, because I feel like in a lot of movies, like they set the tone by being like, oh, here's the mom figure, they're having fun, and then it just like hard cuts to like the doctor walking in and then being like, she died in the hospital somehow to sickness.
It reminds me of like a
James,
Disney movie. Like Disney will do that, or like Pixar, where they'll kind of like do a sad montage and it's in like silence, like there's no real like dialogue, and you can just see them like Up, for example, is a great example of it.
It's
where they did
like
the montage of them like building their life together, and then without any like dialogue or any like exposition, you just see things start to go downhill, and just
but that's kind of where I'm disagreeing with James. Is like I don't think time spent on the relationship and the progression of disease equals emotional investment, right? Because to Joe's point, you know, Up is probably the best example of the most impactful and heart-wrenching sequence in a movie, and it's like maybe 3 minutes long, 4 minutes.
It was definitely way better done.
And even like Guardians of the Galaxy, that first sequence of his mom in the hospital and dying of cancer, which is maybe a minute long, had more of an emotional impact on me than this instance of that.
I think it was like, I like the time that I guess in like, I agree with you that like you don't feel the same gut wrench in the beginning of this movie. I felt a little sad when you see like Jason Momoa like break down in the hallway. You know what I mean? Like that was like a little sad to me because you get like the face empathy, like where you see somebody sad and it like makes your body's like, I need to be sad. You know what I mean? But I will say 100% to your point, the even though they spent a lot of time trying to build this up, it was very like it should have hit harder than it did, 100%. And it was like Met Plus. You lose a lot of the gusto of the hit, like it doesn't really hit in the gut like it should for the amount of time and energy they spend on it.
Yeah. I think they could have done one impactful scene where they were just having dinner or on a vacation or something, where they're just spending time as a family, and the mom has some dramatic kind of like downfall. And then you go into the montage of her cancer and coming back, because then they also are like, it's back. Like there's just it's just like very cliche, like introductory to, it was just, I don't know.
Can we talk about how Jason Momoa... It did. Can we also talk about how Jason Momoa, like just talking about the first sequences of the movie, like in the first shot where like the girl, like his daughter is like super young, like 4 or 5, like, or probably like more like 6 or 7. She's like 6 or 7. He looks the same in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, even though there's like, you know, I want to say 7 to 8 years between. Like there's like no age difference. And like there's points in like, especially when they're on the run, which we can explain later, where like Jason Momoa or like Ray, which was annoying, both their characters, because they were both called, they referred to each other as Ray, because it was Rachel and Ray. You know what I mean? So
I noticed that. I was like, wait, because I watched it with subtitles, and I was like,
of
why is it R-A-E and R-A-Y? And I was like, oh.
It's because it's a
their
part
name.
of the twist.
I turned on subtitles at like the very end, and I'll tell you why later. But then I saw like, and I didn't even care for figuring out his name. And then I saw like a subtitle, and it's like Ray laughing, but Jason Momoa was laughing, and I was like,
wait a minute,
girl,
because it was Ray Cooper and Rachel Cooper, right? And that's also goes into the twist. You know what I mean? Because like all the dialogue is true dialogue, you know. But it's confusing. Like it's weirdly confusing, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But yeah, like there was a point when they're in the woods and Ray, Jason Momoa's character, is shooting a gun for the first time, like a handgun for the first time, and he's like explaining like how, or he's like, you see how hard it is, and their kind of banter back and forth is that of like a brother and sister, not of a father and daughter, you know?
Yeah. Before we get to
the time in it was like super strange, like. James, to your point, like them aging and like not aging in the time span that it took place over was weird. But then also, did you guys catch how it was like the beginning happens, which is technically like the close to the end of the film, like that first scene, and then it says like years earlier, and then it goes to like them camping, and then it says 24 months later.
Which
was like, why'd you switch from years to months if you're doing 24 months? Like, it was like 6 months later, and then it was like 24 months later, and it was like, whoa, why didn't you just say 2 years? Like, why did you say 24?
Because in addition, in the beginning, it didn't say what the time was. It said many years. Like, it was very vague. And then they said, and then the next time skip was 24 months. And I wrote that down, and I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you just say 2 years at that point? You know, I feel like it's like it's like
weird.
a kid, right? Like, you're not going to call your kid fucking 24 months old, you know?
James, no, they do.
Some people do. Yeah.
Do they? I thought that's like the break. I thought you get like 20 months, and then after that, you're like,
I don't know.
Like, oh, my kid's 48 months old, you know?
My kid's 72 months old.
Yeah. It's just like a 10-year-old kid.
James can't do math.
Do you know? Yeah, James can't do math. I wasn't going to call
6-year-old kid, okay? I'm sorry.
James, what else did this guy direct? Or girl? I didn't even look. Like who?
It was, what's it called? Brian Andrew Mendoza. Let me look him up on IMDb really quick.
It sounds kind of familiar.
Frontier, which is another Jason Momoa movie. Braven, which is also another Jason Momoa movie. And Road to Paloma, very strangely. I'm pretty sure.
Paloma.
Yeah, this also is another Jason Momoa movie.
Stop.
Did I click on Jason Momoa? No, I did not.
Are you sure you didn't click on Jason Momoa?
I promise you. He did The Last Manhunt. He did.
Maybe this is the plot twist that Jason Momoa is
this guy.
Is the
What is this guy's name, James? The
Brian Andrew Mendoza. Brian Andrew Mendoza. That's fucking awesome. It's like,
there's like tropes like that where it's or not tropes, but like a lot of times directors have their actors that like, like to work with, like Christopher Nolan and
Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese. They all like will typically trend to use the same ones for a while, but like. It's interesting that like this guy's is Jason Momoa. Like of all the actors, like not like I like Jason.
I get it.
I think he's a great actor, but it's just like he's not
just
like
hitching his bandwagon to him.
Yeah, I mean Jason Momoa
his mediocre
is a very,
bandwagon.
I think. Listen, if Jason Momoa was like a stock in acting, you buy Jason Momoa now because I think he's gonna be an actor that's gonna be like. I think he's going to stay in the scene for a very long time because he's got a very unique look.
I agree. He probably will be in this scene for a while. I don't think he's ever going to become an like major player. I think his movies are always going to be like mild to meh plus.
What about the cinematic masterpiece of Aquaman or the Justice League?
Didn't watch it.
Brian Mendoza did that too.
No, he did not.
No, he
No.
didn't.
Jack Snyder did that, Kevin.
Zach
Snyder. You're right.
He only Mendoza has only directed 2 movies though.
I have 3.
Oh, the other ones are probably produced.
No, yeah, he
Oh,
produced
okay.
the other
Got it.
ones. Yeah,
Mhm.
but the
So-
other thing he directed, Jason Momoa was in it.
Yeah. Let's get back to this one because
Yeah.
that's what the listeners
true,
are here
that's
for.
true. Enough talking
That's
about
true.
Jason Momoa
Yeah.
and this guy's other movies.
Can we talk about the Hitman for a second? The most indestructible man in human
God.
history. Like,
Yeah.
they're on this subway. He smashes his head into a metal pole 10 times, throws
Yeah.
him through a window,
Yep.
punches him in the gut, punches him in the face. This guy doesn't have a scratch, a bruise, a drop of blood, doesn't hesitate for a second. It's almost as if he's like bionic and
Yeah.
clearly a human. There's no sci-fi
Mhm.
twist to this movie.
It's again another fucking trope of
Yes.
just like the guy
Yeah,
chasing
like-
him down is like near impossible until the very end. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
I also feel like I'm being like I've gotten to a point in movies, especially because very recently I've watched a few movies that have very good fight choreography. Like the fight choreography was uninteresting and also kind of doesn't make sense in this movie. Like it doesn't make any sense why Jason Momoa is so good at fighting people.
yes, I had that same issue, James, is that they don't give enough. Well, he does.
No,
box.
they do.
He's
They
a
give him-
boxer.
yeah.
I mean, he
they-
boxes,
but not
he
that
does
he's like
jujitsu,
a like.
but like
he's not like an assassin.
well,
Like they
he,
make
yeah,
it.
he
Well, it's the
takes
same
on
shit
like
with Beckett.
guards. He kills 5 dudes. You know what I mean? Like
It's the same
Yeah.
shit with Beckett. Like, these are just like everyday people who are thrown into these extraordinary circumstances and somehow are masters of martial arts.
combat. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but they
Yeah.
could give some kind of like, and that's an issue though, Joe. Like that's like, even fucking Vacation Friends gave us some justification to like that guy was a fucking
he was a Green Beret.
right,
Yeah.
and then like you think to like Taken, which is like one I like the Taken movies, but
I like taking.
they at least give like background as to why this guy is like an assassin and can
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
like assassin things.
Yeah.
And then in movies like this, they're just like it's Jason Momoa. He's got.
You can also you can
Which is
explain
fine,
it.
but-
Yeah, you can also explain it away super easily. Like you just mentioned that he's a veteran or something. You know what I mean? And then anybody's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what I mean? Like you're good.
Right.
Like I understand. Like you've had combat training. I understand. You know, even if it's not like obviously to that tier, like there is some explanation or at least like an ode to like, oh, he has a past in this. And I guess that's why too he doesn't like they don't commit to using a gun because I feel like there's a lot of times when Jason Momoa puts himself in situations where it'd be really fucking handy to have a gun, but he's like bulldozer.
And honestly, this point also becomes like even more ridiculous once the twist is found out.
Yes,
you know what I'm
agreed.
saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
it just multiplies by 10 once you know the twist, and you're like, wow,
Mhm.
that's even worse now. Than all
Agreed.
that played out.
Agreed.
The
Agreed.
way it did. So that's funny, but
Can I go to
yeah,
my
I'm-
next gripe?
Yes. Joey's just got a
Uh,
list. Joey's like, you guys
is-
throw away
the
your
fact that
notes.
it's like
I
Big
got my
Pharma
punch
all the
list.
time.
I got
No,
my.
I actually stopped my list after this next comment, and this is the first 10 minutes of the movie because I was just like, I just can't write everything down. But
Yeah.
he spills the cocktail on the Big Pharma CEO.
Yeah.
There's no other servers around. Everyone else is sitting.
the
and
guy
he
from
gets
National
up.
Treasure.
Yes. And he gets up and he's like, what the? Who did that? And like looks around and there's literally only one person standing,
Yeah,
walking away
Running
from the
away,
table.
running
Yeah.
away with an empty
He does.
tray.
Yeah, he does like.
And everyone's looking and they're just like,
Yeah.
who did this?
He does. They do like a 270-degree turn, like very specifically. Don't look in like the 90 degrees where Jason Momoa is exiting. Like it's like there's like a
Yeah.
fire right here, and he's like, "Where's the fire? I feel the heat." Like,
Yeah.
Can we also talk about this? Is going back a little further, but can we talk about the fact that on the train scene when the IT guy from The Office gets killed, and then they're fighting on the train,
Mhm.
and he flips the daughter out of the door,
Yeah,
and then
He yeets her.
and then he stabs Jason Momoa, and there's so many people on in the station, and they're just watching. Like, no one's
shit.
calling 911. There's no cops. I mean, goddamn, when was the last time you were in a train station and there wasn't, like, transportation,
Some
like,
sort of
authorities?
security. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
somebody with an
on the-
assault rifle.
Yeah. And it's like, these dudes are fucking brawling. Like, one got stabbed in the stomach and nobody's doing anything. They're just like, looks like my train's going to be delayed.
Somebody better
New
clean up
York.
this blood.
And that's like just another one of those instances where it's just like they just don't think about, like, they didn't plan out any of that. They just wanted this like cool action set piece, and then it's like
There's
like,
no
they don't
thought
think
about where
that
does
guy.
the
There's no
assassin
thought.
walk
Yeah.
off to? Why does
Yeah.
nobody stop him? Why does nobody
Yeah.
like, take
He
a
is-
picture of
he
him?
is-
Why like
Right.
He has diplomatic immunity.
Oh, dude, that's a classic line.
Yeah.
Just been revoked. Remember that?
Yeah. No, he very much like the assassin, like Amos. He's very like, he just like walks off screen, and then like there's like a portal on stage left that like he's no longer like privy to being arrested or any kind of like 100%, because he's in like in public he just beats the shit out of somebody and throws a kid and kills, like, basically
And murders
stabs
somebody. He
and
murders
somebody.
somebody.
Yeah. And then, you know what I mean? Like, there's like he steps back, the train doors close, and he just goes off and does his thing. Just like, time to hit the PNC.
And also, if the train didn't care like at all about what was going on, that it just like left after everything happened. Damn, that door was open for a long ass time with the girl
was.
sitting out there before they left. Like, it was just hanging.
Yeah. I thought she was going to get crushed in the door for some reason, and
Me
just because it was a
too. Yeah.
movie. But then I'm also like, subway doors aren't that strong.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought she was gonna smack by a train while she was lying.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Just
oh,
kill the
shit.
kid. I think that would have been a different movie.
Wait, and then can we go back again? I'm sorry.
We're not going to get past the first 15 minutes
Joe
of this
went
movie.
through his gripes. I didn't get through any of mine because I'm just going back to the whole big pharma thing. One, it's hilarious that I work for the industry that's always the bad guy. That's so funny. You guys don't know what that feels like because you both work in industries that
We're
are
getting
like
nonprofit
people
healthcare, okay?
enjoy.
We improve
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. So like that's hilarious. But then why? What doesn't make sense to me, which makes this whole movie almost irrelevant. They don't, in the beginning, they don't like explicitly say why it's such a bad thing that they cut the generic. Because a generic is the same fucking drug as or treatment as the name brand. So
But it's not as effective. They say the doctor says that it's not as effective. It's like much more effective in treating this type of cancer that wife has.
No. The drug that they cut was a generic version of the branded
Yes,
Of the
it was
brand name
Sparrow.
version.
It was
Treatment.
called Sparrow.
Sparrow, which was the generic to Infirma. So
No, Infirma was the one that everybody used. The experimental one or whatever that they pulled.
no, they're both the same drug. Because
Okay.
they called Spiro a generic of
Oh.
Infirma, which just means it's the same thing. It's just the generic, so it's supposed to be cheaper. And that's why they cut it, because they want to make more money on Infirma. That's why that was what that whole thing was. But they don't explain why they should have explained that they just can't afford Infirma or whatever it's called, Infirma. And that's why they needed the generic. And then they cut the generic and they're like, what the fuck? But they don't explain that. So like, I was just kind of like, in the beginning, like, just give her it's the same fucking treatment. Just give her the Infirma. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I think
that
they were giving her the Infirma, but they also did talk about like money problems and stuff like that. So it could be like
not till later, not till way after she died. And I was like,
Yeah.
you gotta explain that stuff. Like, that's so confusing. And I guess maybe just the concept of generics and non-generics, like that was just like a confusing topic to have, like to base the movie around. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just kind of annoying to me.
Yeah. Can we talk? So I have one more thing in the beginning of the movie, and then I really do think we should move on because we've only talked about the beginning of the movie. But the line that the biopharma guy says that is like so quintessentially like, you know what I mean? Like
I know
I'm
exactly
the big
what you're
bad
talking
guy.
about.
He
Yeah.
says, "What is the price of more time with a loved one? Like a day, a month, a year? What does it cost?" You know what I mean? And he's on the phone with Ray talking about his wife that's dying. And I'm like, if you're
Nice.
like, if that
Good
actually happens in this world, that company, that guy gets fired immediately and the company like sinks.
Gets
You know,
canceled.
or like,
How about
Yeah.
Martin Shkreli? It's like that whole situation with Martin Shkreli, who like, remember that guy? He was like a big pharma guy. He's in jail right now, for doing something similar with, like cutting a generic or like, he hiked the price of like a generic like insulin, like or diabetes medication
super
that was
high.
like $2, and then he hiked the price to like $80.
you know,
like,
stealing
what?
from people that are dying.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, that's classic. The big
Yeah.
pharma is classic.
Yeah.
See, I thought you were going to talk about the
Ridiculous.
line where he says, "I'm not killing your wife. Cancer's killing your wife," or something like that. Yeah.
He goes, you know, cancer's usually a death sentence.
Cancer's
anyway.
still a death sentence in a lot of cases, or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
but
But
that's
like,
what
honestly,
your job
nowadays,
is
yeah,
to not kill and make it a death sentence.
And,
So you're telling me
honestly,
that-
honestly, nowadays, like a lot of cancers are treatable, and like you can live a long time with cancer. Like it's not like
It's all about
just a
early
death
detection.
sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
all depends. Yeah, but yeah, let's continue on through this movie
Mhm.
because the beginning of the movie is just
There's a lot
silly.
wrong. Yeah, there's a lot wrong. So can we talk about? So I know that this is a bit of a jump. So they go on this whole escapade, right? The daughter and Jason Momoa. They go on, and the reason I'm saying their actor names is because they're both called Ray in the movie, and it's very confusing.
You can call her
Um,
Rachel, which is
yeah.
her real name.
That's true. So whatever. I mean, I could just call her Rachel. So
Well, his
Ray-
real name is Rochelle, so it doesn't.
all right, I'm just gonna call him Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa's character basically becomes a domestic terrorist and plans to like out this like in the same way we were talking about the scene where he like, you know, like Scooby-Dooed his way into like this like formal Thai dinner and then accidentally murders one of the guy's guards. You know what I mean? Like did that
He
guy
doesn't pull the trigger though.
his
And
hands
I
on the
thought
gun
that was
and that's all I'm saying.
I thought that was gonna come back, but the CEO technically pulled the trigger. He just pushed the gun out of the way and
yeah.
it blew
And it
that guy's
headshot
brains
that
out.
guy. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later, but I thought that was going to come back. It probably should have come back, and they could have changed the ending a little bit, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yes, he does beat a dude with a fire hydrant and then indirectly murder another person.
a guy. Yeah. So
and
he
then
began-
directly
and-
murder someone.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, how's he kill the CEO?
He suffocates him.
Oh right, I forgot
yes, he
about.
definitely
yeah, you're right.
murdered
He just,
someone.
Yeah, he
Never mind.
absolutely murdered that guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean like, but he like legitimately like it's like straight up domestic terrorism. Like right, like he's doing it for like whatever. But like there was a point in this movie where I'm like, is he the good guy? I don't know if he's the good. Like these are definitely bad people, but he's just like on a murder spree.
He definitely was like kind of the bad guy, but I also just want to say like, is that domestic terrorism though, or just a homicide?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it
I
is
think
just
it's
homicide.
Homicide.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
Maybe
I
you
just
could
like,
argue
At what
serial
point does it
killer.
become terrorism?
I saw the only thing with the terrorist was when he was doing like Home Depot fucking mousetrap. Like,
So, hear me out.
with
No,
cards.
terrorism technically, I think, has to have a political agenda behind it, which this kind
Much
of
later on
does.
It's like-
So you
Kinda
could
does,
maybe
yeah.
argue it, but I don't think you would consider this terrorism.
I got more of the domestic terrorism vibe from when he was in like the woods and like, you know, shooting guns and like making like building these traps and stuff like that, and then like when he was going after, because there was the guy
He got like Unabomber vibes, kind of.
yeah,
when
very
he's, like, making
Unabomber
these
vibes. That's why I said
plans.
domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
And then so it was Shaw was like the second guy he went after, because he was like the first guy that he killed was like Shaw's the one behind everything. And then he does this whole thing like on a bridge where he like, for some reason this guy also has like an escort, like a motorcade that he like throws nails on the road, he downs a tree, he like has a bulldozer keys for some reason, and like is able to
ask something real quick, because again, this was part when I was like dozing out a little bit, like pausing a lot. Who is Shaw that he was trying to be?
Dude, totally missed that.
He's like a business. So they established it at the dinner, right? So he's some kind of business partner with Biopharma, but I think he's like the bank that backs it or something like that. Like somehow he's like a business partner of the CEO and is involved in like the real bit. Like if they're like doing some kind of partnership with like for their drugs, and for somehow he also has like operational say on what happens when it comes to like drugs and stuff like that. So that's why he got some of the blame.
Why was he a target?
Because the Biopharma CEO said that he was the one pulling the strings from behind, the veil, which could have totally been a lie, because he did not do the same research on Shaw that he did on.
The Biopharma guy only told that to Jason Momoa. He didn't say that like publicly.
No, that's what I'm saying. He said it to Jason Momoa, and then Jason Momoa was like, I'm going to go after Shaw.
Yes. So I know why Jason Momoa, but the hitman who actually killed Shaw.
He went after Shaw because Shaw knew about the politician, because the hitman was guarding the politician, and he knew that Jason Momoa was getting closer, so he's basically covering everything up by like this homicidal Unabomber-y guy is going after these like big pharma CEO people, and like he basically opportunity kills Shaw, and is basically trying to like wipe out all knowledge of the senator's involvement and blames it on the Cooper family. You know what I mean?
This is why I hate,
far-fetched.
like, just like, yeah, this is my
one less
biggest
character
issue
they needed
with
to have in.
Yeah.
They should just cut that character and redirect the storyline.
Why was his shotgun a rocket launcher at one point?
Yeah.
he made like incendiary rounds, but they were literally bombs. Like, he was literally shooting bombs out of his shotgun.
And also, there was like no kickback. Like, it was literally just like,
oh, I know, when he was shooting it
and
in
then
the
it went
woods, dude. I was cracking up at that. There was no recoil whatsoever.
He was like hip
shooting
firing.
bombs.
Yeah, he was hip firing grenades. Yeah, you're with a bomb, like literally. And it's also like he's not actually hitting anyone. Like there's no gunfights in this movie. I mean, there's guns, but like every time a gun is used, it's unless that you're that one unfortunate guy that got shot in the head in the beginning of the movie. Like I feel like nobody actually gets shot.
You're right. You're 100% right, Jay.
Yeah, they're all
no
bad
one gets
shooters.
shot.
No,
except
Shaw.
that one poor dude in the elevator, and Shaw gets shot in the fucking head.
Yeah, because
Twice.
he's just like walking.
Once,
well, he already got
when
shot.
he was alive, and then once when he was dead.
Got a double tap, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know. The whole middle of the movie was
it was
like
bad.
Pretty
it wasn't
fucking
good.
Boring. There was nothing going on.
Also, who were the two people that went to the motel to get them? Attack them?
I think they were just
like other people.
Assassins.
You're thinking about
there's so many assassins,
guys with guns. Guys,
because it wasn't the FBI, because the FBI didn't know that they were there.
Didn't know about that yet.
And there's only, as we know, one assassin protecting the senator. So who are these other two guys that are just?
I think she had more. I think it was just another guy, or two
Another
others
hitman?
from. Yeah, I don't know.
Not established. Stupid.
Unestablished.
Did you know that scene shot in the tunnel was the same tunnel used in Silence of the Lambs?
Is that your fun fact?
That is a fun fact. We're like rolling through. We've actually already talked about a few fun facts. The Paloma thing was a fun fact. It was a callback to one of Jason Momoa's movies. But that was my other fun fact that I had.
I'm glad we like solved it. Like we solved a fun fact.
Yeah, we did. We did. Very genuinely solved the fun fact.
Yeah, that I'm trying to think when that tunnel is in Silence of the Lambs. Huh.
I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs in so long.
Fantastic movie.
Would you fuck me?
I want that soundbite forever.
It puts the lotion in the basket. put the fucking lotion in the basket. Precious, my precious. Don't touch my precious.
But yes, back really to this movie. Really yeah, it did. I'm really upset that me and James at the same time
did the put the lotion
Put the
in the
lotion in-
basket.
In the part.
It puts the lotion in the basket. Weird. That was weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right,
back to
moving
this fucking
forward.
train wreck
This
of a movie.
movie. Kevin, you're getting Kevin closer and closer. You're
That
like,
is so true.
This is why we can't have soft scrolling and soft press plays, because once we start
No,
talking
that's how-
about it,
I think
know
you can do
it's
it in the
gonna
beginning.
go- That's fair.
Yeah, but
in the
you can
beginning,
live.
maybe.
You can live in the world of disbelief where you're like, I like 3 things about the movie, and then you could be like, you know what I mean? Like,
The relationship between the FBI agent and the daughter felt
Stupid.
so forced.
It was
It
dumb.
was stupid. Didn't it feel
Yeah.
so forced?
It was-
Also, in
I
what
hated
world,
that.
when there's a mass murderer on the loose who calls the FBI agent, do they not have instantly
their phone tapped.
10 people
Yeah.
around trying to trace the call? She talks to
Oh
them
my
for
God.
a while. The one time I get it,
I
it was
thought-
late at night, there was nobody in the office, but like the
Yeah.
second time, like she's in the office, it's bright as day, like there's people there, like she could have been like, trace it. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be. I thought that's the reason why she was like, "Go get a burner, and like call me at this number," and then
At the very end of
Ray-
the movie, she
then
sent
she
it to their
hangs up,
fucking Gmail.
and then she hangs up, and the FBI agent was pissed, and I was like, "Oh, the FBI agent was trying to get her on a burner so that she could get a trace on the phone." But then they just like ignored that completely, or I just misinterpreted it completely.
no, they do completely.
But I
ignore
feel
that.
like that's how it should have gone. Like 100%, Joe. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Like it's so
She-
silly. She's
yeah.
technically they're investigating her as a mass murderer at this point.
Yes.
And they
And
just,
she has murdered people.
she has,
Massively.
yes, we have confirmed.
Yeah.
confirmed.
Um,
Yeah, that was weird and
yeah.
felt very forced. But that's like literally my only note I have until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
when
So let's
they-
talk about the twist, right? So the big twist of the movie, right, is I want to say 2/3 of the movie you're following kind of like Jason Momoa as like the lead character, and he's doing all of these things, and like having these like planning these attacks and like investigating the death, like what really happened with the big pharma company, and like who's
And his
really involved.
daughter is with him,
Yes.
but she's like the voice of reason.
yes.
Yes.
his daughter's
She's
annoying
riding shotgun.
because every time he's about to kill somebody, she shows up and says,
Explosive.
"Daddy!" And
Yeah,
then-
it's really unfortunate
10-minute
the timing.
distraction.
She always runs in right when someone's about to die.
Which-
Yeah.
well, makes sense in the twist, but
Yeah,
stupid.
it does.
So-
yeah.
It's essentially the twist of the movie is that the father actually died. Jason Momoa's character died in the very beginning of the movie, and
On the train
Ray, on the train
he's
track
a
when he got stabbed.
schizophrenic.
Ray,
multiple
she's
personality
having
disorder.
Yeah, she has some kind of dissociative disorder. You know what I mean? Where like the reality that she's believing is that she's on this adventure with her dad, where actually she is the one committing these crimes, the one doing this investigation, the one, you know what I mean? Like trying to get vengeance for his father and his mother. And she does recognize to an extent that her father is dead towards the end of the movie, but there is like a real consciousness to like, I don't know if it's like an illusion. It's not an illusion, but like whatever she makes up in her mind, like this vision of her father that becomes like a tactile figure in
It's
the
like-
movie to her. Like she has dialogue with that character, you know?
It's like in Dexter, like his dark passenger is his dad.
Yeah, but I would even say it's more because they have like actual discussion and things like that. Like it's
Yeah.
even more so.
Well,
So I didn't mind the twist. I thought
I thought it was good. I liked the twist.
As it was happening, I was like, oh shit. Like I thought they were pulling a Midnight Sky and the daughter was dead. Like the daughter
Mhm.
died on the
Yes.
platform. That was the first thing out of my mouth when he was standing up there at the end. I was like, the daughter's dead. The daughter was dead the whole time. And then they were like, oh no. And then the FBI agent goes, Paloma, I know your mom gave you that doll. And I was like, oh fuck. She is alive
Yeah.
and Jason Momoa is dead. So I actually didn't mind the twist. I thought it was good, but like the movie was trash around it. Like that could have been a good twist. in a
I was
different world.
excited for that twist. I thought it was definitely unpredictable and like kind of exciting. The
Yeah.
most original thing about this movie to me
Agreed.
just still didn't make sense because we see him doing all the actions this whole movie, and like she's being yelled at and like going off and doing things. Like she straight up has like split personality disorder because
Yeah.
she's calling the FBI agent on her own saying my dad, and then
Yeah.
she's also going off killing people as like it didn't make sense to me unless they like acknowledged that they acknowledged everything else very on the nose, acknowledged that she has some sort of mental disorder, and I would have been okay with it.
She's like Venom, like Venom
She's like
and Eddie
Split.
Brock, like yeah, exactly, yeah, like in Venom, like they eventually, once they realize like the Split is just like a thing that's gonna happen, then they start referring to themselves as we, and that's what she does in this movie. Like later in the movie, she's like we, even though she knows that she's fucking psycho.
Yeah, I do wish though that like I feel like it had the potential. Kevin loved that.
I'm thinking of a world where Venom, like the symbiote, is just Jason Momoa, and it's just like a girl, and like Jason Momoa just takes over, like that's
and
Venom
beats the shit out of
Jason
people.
Momoa.
That's I mean, listen, if your Venom form is Jason Momoa, like
I'll take
not
it.
the worst thing.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's definitely an upgrade for me, for sure.
100%. So I feel like this movie had potential. I did really like the twist because I thought it felt non-generic in a very generic movie. And I kind of wish that they had, before the twist and after the twist, leaned into the mental health of it more, because I feel like that would have been a much more interesting movie, because it would have been like, oh, like this very complicated and somewhat disjointed adventure that like they went on makes a lot more sense now, because now you have the key bit of information that you like during this entire adventure are seeing the adventure through the eyes of like someone that has this, disorder, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they just went right back to the conspiracy movie. Yeah.
Well, she also conspiracy. Like she snaps, like she basically like almost
when
like
she
can
says
put
her
it
name.
Aside. Yeah, she can put it aside for a long period of time, and she's like semi-okay, you know what I mean, through the end of the movie. And I'm like, I kind of like, I'm okay with that as long as the first part makes a little more sense. Like, I feel like the Ray thing was okay, but I feel like it's a very cheap way to kind of like build under the twist. I feel like if there was like kind of like bouts of stress and like like conversations that don't make sense, but the movie just rolls right through it. You know what I mean? Like something like that would have been a lot more heavy and like, well, like it would have been like a, wow, that's so cool. You know what I mean? Instead of a, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think they tried so hard to make you not see the twist coming that it almost would have been better if like we knew about it relatively early on, and then we saw the story same way, as if like he was doing all the things, like she kind of like, we saw her kind of flip and be like, okay, now I'm going to be my dad and kill this person and like separate my persona from yes, and then like that I thought would have been a more interesting story.
Mm-hmm. Can I give you guys one trope before we keep going during the baseball scene?
The baseball scene,
or one gripe. I'm sorry, not one trope. When
you mean like at the baseball stadium? The stadium, yeah.
Did they just like? Is that a thing that happens at like in Pittsburgh? Is that they wear a bunch of Steelers gear to Pirates games? Because like, dude, I'm telling you, every other person was wearing Steelers instead of Pirates.
Yeah,
and I was
it
like,
was all Steelers colors, but is it the same colors for Pirates?
They're the same. They're the same colors. But like, how often? Like I've been to plenty of Yankees games. People aren't wearing fucking Giants.
I'll say this:
Yankees
at Eagles games and Phillies games, you do see a lot of crossover of the opposite teams.
Yeah, dude.
Not as much as
I
in
said
this
that
movie,
right,
but
and
in
that's what I
Philly-
said because Julia was watching the end of it with me, and I was like, you definitely see it at games. Like, so people will definitely wear Eagles to a Phillies game. But it's not every other person. Like this was like half the people.
Yeah, it was a lot of people.
It was like in Steelers, and I was like, did they just run out of like Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yeah.
And
I think you definitely
just,
notice that though
Steelers
in New York as well, because like the Yankees have a very like it's not just blue. You know what I mean? It's like a very specific look. And that's not the Giants look.
Yeah,
know?
but it happens with the Phillies too, and the Eagles are
so
green,
different.
which couldn't be further from Phillies colors.
I'll say that about
it's actually the
that
opposite
scene,
of Phillies colors.
The one thing I'll give this movie credit for not falling into that trap that I'm proud of them for was they didn't do that whole gimmick where they like the guy takes the hat off somebody else, puts it on, and then the FBI loses it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
That
I
would've been
love
so
that one.
annoying.
I was
though.
really
That'd been so
expecting
Where
that
they
to
just
happen.
like put their head down.
Yeah.
And they're
Or
like,
they grab it.
They steal
They
someone
grab
else's
it out
hat,
of
and they just
out of the souvenir shop. They like
Yeah.
quickly grab it off the
Yeah.
souvenir rack.
and then they
And they're
walk
like-
right by the
and they're
FBI
like,
agent.
did you see Jason
Yeah.
Momoa? And you're like, I saw a guy that looked a lot like Jason Momoa, but he was wearing a hat. And they're like, that's definitely not him.
Yeah, they definitely didn't do that, but they did another fucking like trope, which was the whole fucking secretly record the actual bad guys saying.
That was.
saying
I thought that
the
was
real
good.
thing.
No, but
No,
that was not
obviously-
bad.
That happens all the time. Yeah, dude. Literally, the second she walked in, I was like,
Holding
she's
the phone.
recording this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
She's
But
like,
it
I'm
was
going to call
like-
the FBI as I'm the most wanted
And-
woman in the world right now. Like,
And
yeah.
legally, if we're thinking legally on this one, the senator had a knife to her throat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not permissible in
Literally,
court.
that would
No.
not stand up ever in court.
No,
like,
it's because
ever,
she was
ever.
quote unquote tortured. Like it doesn't.
Hey,
Yeah.
in distress.
This mass murderer
Yeah.
just walked into my office, put a knife to my throat, and told me to say that, and then left.
Yeah.
Like
And you're
that's
I would say
literally
whatever.
it. And then they're,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, toss the case. Like,
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think it's one of those.
Make
things,
her president.
yeah.
I do think it's one of those things that like there was an element of like the senator wasn't even on the radar of the FBI. You know what I mean? So them getting this recording is like not only the thing that damns her, but is the thing that like starts to unravel. Because the guy even said at the end of the movie, once they got the memo, let's see what her most recent donations were. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
to
but
her.
also how bad was the writing and acting in that exact scene, James, when they're like, let's check the recent donations.
Yeah, that was
And then,
very.
as
and then the
like every-
female FBI agent goes, "Oh look, Rachel just emailed us."
Yeah, that was
Let's
dumb. That
check
was
it out.
that's what I was talking about before. Is she straight up like Apple sends like via the Apple Cloud sends them an email from her
Yeah,
iPhone.
from a plane. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh, let's look. Rachel emailed.
Hey, Rachel.
I got a text.
Rachel just Snapchatted me. Let's see
yeah.
what it says.
What? Oh my god.
Enjoy my pyramid scheme for $10.
It's so funny.
Oh wait, can I back up again? I had something else I wanted to talk to you guys.
Kevin
and I
only wants
wanted-
to go back. He doesn't.
I
wanna go
really
forward.
wanted to like do the math beforehand or do the math with you guys because we have James who's an engineer. But when she jumps off the Pirates stadium,
Mhm.
no way is she clearing the
No.
distance from
No
the
shot.
stadium to
No
the
shot.
river.
She's
no
dead.
way, right?
She's dead.
No
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
She's hitting the cement. And
Unless-
I wanted to do the math on like what the distance
angle.
she had to clear to
Mhm.
get to the water. Like, what would that distance have been? Like,
I
how
mean, that-
far
you're gonna-
out would she have
You're
jumped?
gonna need to do trigonometry there, Kev, and you're gonna need a lot more than what I have right now on the podcast.
Not really.
Wait,
not
can
really
we-
though. Can we just like measure the distance of the sidewalk to the thing? Like, that's at least the minimum distance. Well, then there's angles too, so there's a trajectory.
Yeah. So
Shit, I don't know.
while
how
you
to do
guys
trajectories.
figure that out, can we also talk about how I know this happens a lot in movies, like how we said, like they start the movie with a scene that comes later in the movie. In the beginning scene where he says that cheesy line of "it wasn't supposed to be like this," he jumps right after that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
and it
then-
wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that at all. Like
No.
she says it wasn't supposed to be like this, and then they have a conversation for 10 minutes, and then she jumps. Like, you can't just change the story
Yeah.
to fit your plot twist.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, it's very like everything Jason Momoa says in this movie is basically like badass action hero bot like spits out something, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
days get longer the more you something like that. It's like something like that. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
he just says something like it's like there's like a slow panning shot of like a sidewalk as like a trash bag like rolls down it, and it's like and he's like, I miss my wife. But like he says it in a very badass way, you know?
Dude, it's easily from the edge of the top to the edge of the river is easily like 45, 50 feet.
Yeah, there's almost no way.
I
Unless,
just looked it
how
up
many
on Google
stories is
Maps,
she
and they
at?
have the
I mean, you're pretty close.
I was gonna
No,
say,
dude,
at
look,
that height,
no.
if you get enough arch,
That's like
you just
like
need
a
to clear,
2-lane.
like,
You need like 3 lanes of traffic you have to clear. If she's like
50 feet?
I don't know if she's 50 feet.
Yeah, but she's coming
No
from
way
really
she
high.
can-
She's not like coming from low. So like as she's
Right, so
going
what's
down,
that
she's
trajectory?
also going further
I
out.
think
It's a
she might make it. There's like a 50-50.
She is the hypotenuse.
Listeners, if you're like so interested in this, we're gonna do the math after the episode, and we'll throw the clip in at the very end.
But you're
am
gonna make
super
me do the
interested.
math at the end of the
I am
episode?
gonna make you do the math. Do you know how high up that
I'll have to look
second
that up.
story is?
Yeah,
we'll
you need to
look it up.
you need to get the whatever it's called. But there's no real way. You know what I mean? Like, this is like legitimately a physics problem, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it, but we'll give it a shot.
James, don't you have class after this?
One,
Just
yeah, I do have
cancel.
class after this, but it's not math class.
I feel like I can't get the exact dimensions of PNC Park strictly because they're gonna think I'm a domestic terrorist.
You just
I'm looking
Google
up
that.
the
Yeah.
schematics of PNC Park.
That's hilarious. Anyway. There are definitely like you have to suspend your reality a little bit in this movie to like not appreciate it, but like really enjoy it because there's times when it really doesn't make sense. There's a few more things. There's one more point I really wanted to talk about before we go forward. You remember the diner scene, right? Where Jason Momoa like walks up and he confronts Amos the assassin and he gives Amos 3 choices, right?
3
He
bad
sits
choices.
there, 3 choices that don't make any fucking sense. These are the 3 choices. The first choice, he says, I'm going to tell the cops and there's going to be problems for both of us. And you're like, okay, so this is your ultimatum choice. Let's continue. The second choice is, I run and maybe you find me. And you're like, all right, that's his current plan. That's what you just said. That's his current plan of action. All right, sounds good. Third choice, you tell me what I need to know for almost nothing in return. And then he goes,
Deal.
You drive a hard bargain.
Jason Momoa, her name is this. I'll see you in Pittsburgh. And then he leaves instead of killing him on the spot.
I also thought that was going to be a plot twist that like maybe he was a hitman for the senator's like opponent in the race and like make him go and kill the senator for him type of thing, like make him like, because at that point we still thought the senator was a good person, so we're like, oh, maybe like he's trying to take out the senator so this way it clears the race for his candidate. And but nope, it was so dumb.
Yeah, nuts. Okay, so do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Because I feel like both of you have not been swayed.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, not even close.
James, have you said one pro for this movie?
I have. The twist was good, and I did like the action sequence post that, and I actually disagree about the altercation between the senator and Rachel. I thought that was actually good because it felt like it was a very intense scene, and Rachel went into it and seemed a little more unhinged. You know what I mean? So I thought she was going to slit her throat, just like dead ass in that moment. And I was like, and I think they did a good job of like convincing you that she's just going to fucking kill her, you know? And then she doesn't. Like, I did think that was a very genuine, like, okay, what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. And like, obviously it's a very oh, I got you on my iPhone, always got to be recording, you know what I mean? Like, that's definitely a tropey thing to do, but I feel like they did a good job of kind of, like, sleight of handing that away for just a second, you know? And I felt like that was a very genuine moment.
Well, okay,
where, like, she's not going to focus on that when there's a
second.
knife at her throat, you know?
Here's one other big gripe that I just had that is now really upsetting me, too. The assassin, before Ray gets to the senator, she's like scaling the building, running around the hallways, all this stuff. And that's when the assassin and her start fighting. Before that, though, or mid-fight something, the assassin and the senator cross paths and they say nothing to each other. Don't you think the assassin would be like, go hide? Like, she's here, she's trying to kill you?
I think she knows. There was like a look. That
But
they,
she doesn't
like,
know
they
she's there.
exchanged.
Like, she
No,
looks and she's
because-
like, what are you doing here? But, like...
Yeah, the assassin's not supposed to be there. The whole point of the assassin is like the fact that she saw the assassin there, she knows that she's in trouble. You know?
So why doesn't she run and hide? She's just in her office, like, grabbing her paperwork.
Well, she's like packing up. So she thinks the assassin's probably going to take care of it. You know what I mean? If we're going to be honest, this is a trained killer versus like, you know, like
a person who has killed 4 or 5 people in the last
but not your
couple days.
assassin. Yeah. You
I
assume
don't
that the
know.
trained killer is going to win against, you know.
I think that there should have
Rachel.
been more panic in the senator's eyes when she saw
I agree.
him there.
I agree. She was definitely confident. Like when that door opened, she's not a killer. The senator's not a killer. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
and she keeps saying, like,
Rachel is.
sweetheart. She keeps saying, sweetheart, you're so
Yeah.
young. You don't understand. Like, don't. Come on.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
it's dumb.
Just come on.
Agreed.
Okay. Let's
Agreed.
play
All
our
right,
game
so
and wrap
do
this
you
one up.
boys? Speaking of game that Joey's referring to, it's time to guess the Metascore. Joey,
If it's
what are
more
your
than
guesses?
a 12. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say 36.
36. Kevin,
Nah, I'm thinking it's 36. Is
No,
way
you
too
know what? I
low.
was going to say
It's-
maybe like a
it's-
44. I'm changing my thing.
wow,
No.
whoa,
No.
you
That's-
locked in,
that's-
bro.
no,
you
no.
can't listen to Kevin's thought process and then change it.
It's gonna be. It's probably. I'm feeling like it's a 52.
Ooh. Okay, he
52?
said 52, so I'm going 44. Fuck you, James.
Okay, listen, I'll let Kevin make that determination. Kevin, do you allow him to change? I'm not saying anything about the score.
He never locked in. He said it. Oh no, you did. He said it, and then it was
No,
my
you just
turn.
started
Yeah, no,
talking.
he's
No.
locked in on the 30s.
No.
one.
You're locked in on 36, Joey. 36, 52. All right, do you want to know the score?
Yeah.
The score for this movie is 46.
So
Kevin is closer.
I'm
Kevin
closer
is
because
but I
I
went
said
over.
44. And Kevin went
In
over.
post.
Bullshit.
In
You gotta
post.
always underestimate the movie than
Yeah,
overestimate. So.
yeah. It was a part of your process. You very quickly said something, and then like Kevin was
Well-
like, "That's a little low," and then you were like, "Yeah, that is a little low." And
No, it's
then-
because I thought about this while I was watching the movie. I was like, what do I think this movie's going to be? And I was like,
Mhm.
36. I was like, no, it's not going to be 30s because it's like somewhat decent production value.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not enough.
And
to
it's
get
not
it
a
to the
terrible.
40s.
It's not a terrible movie. It really is not a terrible movie. We've seen terrible movies. This is not a terrible movie. There's definitely a lull, but it is not unentertaining. I don't think. I think there's boring parts, but it's not an entertaining movie. All right.
I just want to
So-
say, I'm like, I don't think I've pressed play on any movies this season. Maybe the Tomorrow War.
Maybe.
But
I think you might have.
I'm struggling with these movies. For
You've been
picking.
you've been shitting on these movies, bro. All right. So, Joey, are we keeping the trend? Are you going to click play or keep scrolling?
Oh, I'm double downing, triple downing, and I'm scrolling
Double down.
very
Scroll.
fast.
Got it. Kevin.
In fact, one last little snippet. I almost did pick this movie for my pick last time. And I was like, I'm going to keep scrolling. See what else is
Literally.
out there. And
He's
I found
already done
other
it.
movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm doubling down. This movie wasn't that good, but
Yeah.
it's not terrible. It just wasn't that good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna double down. I'm gonna switch to keep scrolling. I think this one was. It's not a bad movie. Like I really don't think it's a bad movie. But there's other better action movies out there. You know what I mean? Like Tomorrow War is better than this movie. You know, Shadow of the Moon, which weirdly had a similar vibe to this one. I think that was a better movie.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. We appreciate your viewership. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, please consider subscribing. Comment down below. Let us know what you want us to watch. Because obviously, Joey scrolled past my pick, so I need better ones. So it helps me out. Like this video if you like this content, and let us know what you want us to see in the future. Go follow us on Instagram, Flix_fellas. That's our most popular and populated form of social media, and we're on there all the time with polls and me and Joey have debates about whose Apocalypse team is better. It's fantastic. So make sure that you're following us there. And we respond in chat as well. We respond to comments, so we can even, talk there. So, again, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Toodaloo. Ciao, ciao.